I'm doing a transmission swap on a 2002 Chevy Cavalier. I'd install this support which hooks on two engine points, caddy corner across from each other, goes to the fender, and then that little leg that goes over to the strut tower. After the engine support, I had to remove this exhaust, including the Cadillac or O2 sensor right in front of the Cadillac converter. And then I removed the subframe, which to remove the subframe, the first thing I did before actually removing the subframe is I took these two bolts out, tilted out the wheel, and removed the CV axles, and then reinstalled the tires on both sides. And I left the strut towers, 4 nuts and 2 bolts installed for last, and then there was 6 bolts, 2 there and then 4 along the back. And then the power steering, I had to disconnect it off the power steering pump, the 2 hoses, that hose and then the pressure hose, and then of course the steering knuckle. Then there's several connections. Of course, you gotta take 3 bolts for the flywheel, spin around and take one at a time. The transmission lines, the electrical connection there, of course the bell housing bolts, electrical connection there, the shift cable, electrical connection on the tail shaft. But I did leave the 2 top bell housing bolts and the 2 tail shaft bolts for last. Then I lowered the car down on these blocks where the transmission was setting on these blocks, and pulled the 2 bell housing and the 2 tail shaft bolts, and used a pry bar up on the flywheel to separate the bell housing and get it pushed towards the driver's side of the car about 2 or 3 inches. Then I just raised the car up off the transmission, and then I'll just do the reverse going back on. I'll set the good transmission on the blocks and lower the car back on there and do everything in reverse.